I want to shoot a little video tonight on Lincoln Boulevard here in Venice, California. This is the hotspot for unique independent businesses that are really, a lot of these businesses are legendary in their own way and add a lot of culture, diversity. It really makes Venice the cool place that it has been. Lincoln Boulevard, or Lincoln Avenue, I'm sorry, has taken a fall in maybe about 10 years ago, but it's been revitalized. It's getting revitalized, or it was, but now we're going to have the greatest real estate crash anybody has ever seen if we don't turn around and end this insanity lockdown, because it is really designed to cripple and destroy businesses like this, because the monopoly men want all of the business and they want to sit like parasites and vampires and suck the blood out of each place. So that's the only option people have left, because nobody else can afford, nor does it make any sense. They would have to turn themselves crazy to follow all these ridiculous guidelines that have nothing to do with health and everything to do with fascism and giving their pals the upper hand. So I just want to show Lincoln Avenue while it still exists, because goodness knows what it's going to look like in a few months when the devastation really sets in. So this could be the last hurrah of Americana if people don't wake up, because these types of businesses cannot make it. They struggle month to month as it is. I know a lot of these business owners. I've talked to them. Of course, Whole Foods is going to be just fine. Monopoly men will be just fine. CVS will be just fine. Chevron, but all these other independent businesses, look, you got people sleeping on the streets all over the place here. This is welcome to the new Americana, where only the banksters get to make money and everybody else is out here just absolutely devastated, living, in a way on the brink of death, and people then looking down on them like they did something wrong. I'm not saying there's not some drug addicts out here. I'm not saying there's not some people who didn't earn their position on the street. But there's a lot of other people that the banksters stole. They stole people's homes. That's why so many people are on the street. The banker bailout of 2008 is all leading to this bullshit of, now people have been devastated for more than a decade, and there was a recovery. A recovery from whom? Exactly. I'd like to see, because out here, the homelessness was growing and growing and growing before coronavirus, and now this is going to be the nail in the coffin, because even if they opened up tomorrow and said, okay guys, it's back to normal, these businesses have no chance, because they're going to be the last people to get bailouts. They have no one to turn to, and they're, now $20 trillion went to the bank money prints and the, fluffing up the stock market and all this other nonsense. So our currency's been devalued. We're in a stagflation period that happens in third world countries. Milton Friedman, the Chicago School of Economics. People should take a look at it, because, this is exactly how countries are actually taken over. The International Monetary Fund comes in and they give countries a huge amount of debt, and then they devalue the currency so they can never pay it back. Next thing you know, the cost of goods soar and everything else crashes, and you have people living in poverty, bread lines, rations, and that's what they want. Total government dependency and monopoly men just making more profit than ever. It's very obvious. I'm not telling anybody anything that's rocket science here. It's just common sense and just paying attention and adding things up and going, wait a minute, what happens when we do this? And, you know, you can't just ignore the truth and gloss over it because it makes you feel better. You have to have an open mind, and you have to allow your mind to change as you get to know more facts, as you get more evidence. And, you know, it's clear when you really start getting the evidence that this whole essential, non-essential business, essential business is monopoly men get to work and put everybody under these new restrictions of you must wear a face mask. So now there's no place to go where it's not genocide, because that's what the face masks are. There's no way for me to put that lightly. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not overstating it. If people continue to wear these masks, mark my words, we will see devastating effects to the health of the population. Oxygen is everything to life. It's the first thing you need in this world is oxygen, right? Is that not common sense? So if you're going to start starving yourself of oxygen all the time on a regular basis and make this a new way of life, you're going to age horribly. You're going to see disease and all kinds of things set into your body, because disease thrives in a low oxygen condition. And if you look up the condition called hypercapnia, it's the condition when you get too much carbon dioxide in the blood. And everybody needs to look up that condition if they're wearing a face mask, because you are in danger. And that condition is very serious, can be life-threatening, and can be long-term health effects. So, you know, please do some research for your own good, for the good of your family and your loved ones. Do not take anybody's word for anything. I am not asking anybody to take my word for anything tonight. I'm asking you just to listen and have an open mind and do your own research and say, hey, is this guy talking some truth, or is he just, you know, blowing through some airtime and blowing out some hot air and wasting everybody's time? That's up for you to decide. For me, I have a voice, I have a heart, I have a mind, I have a set of balls, and when I see something, I'm going to speak from the heart. I'm going to speak my truth with humility and put it out there to other adults to let them digest and let them come to their conclusions. And if we start to add things up the same way, now we got to start to think about how we're going to respond. And that's really what it's about right now, is what is the response? And to me, this is the intolerable acts. These are the intolerable acts of our leaders. Leaders. I almost choked on my words when I said that, because these people are nothing but pedophiles. They're nothing but installed puppet. You know, they work for the Vatican. They work for the crown. They work for the royal families and the 13 bloodlines. It has absolutely nothing to do with anybody that's listening to this, believe me. And, you know, if you think you're part of it, you're not. And if you're part of it, you would have nothing to do with the video from a guy like me, except that someday the words of a guy like me are gonna, you know, build up like a tidal wave and come crashing down on these liars and these deceivers and these career deceivers and people working on genociding the population for profit, and people deceiving people from birth to death with nothing but bullshit and nonsense to steal away their gift of life. And I won't have it. I won't tolerate it. It doesn't go for me, and it won't go for anybody I know in earshot that wants to listen and reclaim their individual sovereignty, the divine right to rule oneself above all outside rulership. There's not a person in this world that has to take an order or a mandate from anybody, okay? It doesn't work like that. When you have individual sovereignty, people can offer you a suggestion, but nothing happens without your consent. And I don't consent to any of this shit. Look, I'm out here in Venice. This is Pacific Avenue out here. We're cruising down. Look at this. Homeless encampment. apartments, nothing but shit. And now keep in mind that this might be some of the best real estate in the world in terms of amazing beauty, culture all around. And when you have people living on the street, it's like, you look at it, if you're moving into a neighborhood, you don't want to have the low value property, or I'm sorry, you don't want to have the highest priced property on the block. You want to have the lowest priced property so you get the greatest appreciation. But what happens when people are, maybe thousands of people are living for free? They got a piece of the real estate for nothing. So that brings all of the values way down. So this homeless population is literally a destruction of the real estate industry. And it's nothing against the homeless people. As you heard me say, it is not most of their issue. It is the issue of a financial system that is insane, run for only the select few at the expense of everybody else. And it's absolutely criminal. And it's something that none of us should tolerate. And it's something that is destroying life on earth. So we all got to wake up to what's taking place, and we all got to ask ourselves, is this the way we want to live? And if the answer is no, we got to look at, what are the alternatives? Again, so I'm going to just pull to the side here and let this car pass me because, I'm not going to race around here like I'm in a rush, and this guy clearly wants to get around. So I'm just showing, I might head down actually Speedway here. Speedway is kind of the street to get to the beach. It's very close, and there's a lot of action on Speedway. As we go up there, you can see a bunch of people on different bikes and scooters and those electric scooters and all that type of stuff. So we're gonna cruise down Speedway, see what's going on. It's been a while since I've been over here, and just checking in on the place, because this was basically, I spent quite a bit of time here. I'm not living over here right now, but I know this area like the back of my hand. I know a lot of people that live over here. I spent quite a bit of time, like I said, living here. And this is, to me, what brought me to California originally. Is when I saw Venice. I mean, this place, it was just so rich in unique culture. And when you have the Pacific Ocean and beach, I mean, you can't beat that. So I fell in love with the place. But just being honest, since I've been coming here, the place has taken where it's not as amazing as it used to be. And especially now with this COVID thing, don't get me wrong, I mean, this place is still dope. I'm not talking shit about Venice, but when you consider that once upon a time, this place used to really have a lot of character. And I think these small businesses are not going to quite recover, and we're going to have a big issue here where once the small businesses don't recover, things go from poor to absolutely look like a third world country. So that's why I kind of want to document this tonight. And who knows how much longer it's going to look like this, or what's going to happen next, because I do think it depends on the response of the people. The window is starting to close, though, because the damage, once it's done, it's hard to undo. These people did a lot of work and put their lives into building these businesses, and the minute there's nothing in it for them, there's no reason to come to work every day. They're not just going to keep coming here and entertaining themselves. And if the real estate is, not going to recover. People aren't going to be able to pay their rents. You're going to see just absolute devastation to what used to be productive places. Building culture are now just going to be shut down. I mean, even right now, this place, I'm, trying to get my bearings because it does look different than what I'm used to. And, we're just peering down some streets here. It is really, really something. Because, I mean, it used to be, really jumping at night over here. And, there's still a lot of people out there, but it's just a different vibe right now. The Venice would be happening right now. You would see everything going on, people walking around, and I mean, it's almost beyond words just to see nothing, and just to see what you can't just flip on the switch. They're all getting more benefits now for not working, as I'm being told. So they're not just going to want to come back to work. And, and who knows if the population is going to even put up with dealing with a rigged financial system after this, because if things were bad before, like I've explained, with the stagflation coming, it is only going to get substantially worse. So now we're over here. This is Abbott Kinney, which is the street in Venice where you have all the high-end places that are, original, dope, cool, and wow, here we are. None of these are probably considered essential business, how these people do. So this area, I would imagine, would be extremely hard hit, where you would have to pay in the tens of millions to get a piece of commercial real estate over here. And if these places lost a substantial amount of revenue, what do you think's going to happen? That means they're going to have to drop the rents. And if you're basing the value of your commercial building based on the rent you're getting, when the rents drop, what does that mean? Your valuation goes way down. And now you might have had, $5-10 million in equity just disappear on you, or maybe you're underwater when you used to have a lot of equity, and it's just shocking to people that have, worked hard and, built counted on areas being stable for reasons that made sense. I mean, these areas have been stable for, decades almost, and, nobody would count on the fact that all of a sudden, when you're building your projections and your math models, we're just going to stay here on Abbott Kinney a little bit, that something this devastating would happen where, your rents would go down so drastically. So anyways, I just want to kind of talk this out a little bit, because for anybody in the real estate industry, this is going to be the story of a lifetime. What happens now? And I think it is up to people, and we do have something to say about it. So anyways, let's get the word out there about what's really going on, and what the implications really are. You're not going to hear this on CNN, MSNBC. I've been telling everyone the true economy going back to 2002, 2005, 2006, 7, 8. I was warning everybody of the collapse before it happened. And again, this time I told everybody there was going to be a collapse well before coronavirus, because they keep rigging the game. They keep banker bailouts and quantitative easing and all this nonsense, and it adds up to people getting poorer and people having no way to keep up with people that have a money print. So everything just gets unaffordable for the, regular person. Their whole life goes to just working for the basics to survive. They can't build their dreams. They can't go anywhere. They can't take any trips. They have no social life, which affects other businesses because, you're losing a lot of potential clientele when people barely have enough money to live. And, that's why things go from bad to worse.